Although Gary Neville has a reputation as a family man who stands up for the people politically, the fact of the matter is, it's all just a facade. During his recent visit to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Neville rubbed shoulders with some of the most powerful, and dare I say evil, individuals on planet Earth. Media outlets like Rebel News were rightly wondering what on earth a football pundit was doing over there, and after doing some digging, I found out that Neville is currently the director of 53 UK-based companies, and has held 80 directorships in total. While you may see him as nothing more than a bloke who used to play fullback for Man United, in reality, he's running a business empire behind the scenes. That, my friends, is a big fucking problem. The primary reason for this is because he's firmly in bed with Peter Lim, a Singaporean billionaire who is under investigation for every charge you could possibly think of, from tax fraud and money laundering to falsification of documents and silencing dissenting voices through force. If you were wondering how Neville, who had absolutely fuck all coaching experience on his CV, was able to land a job at a club as big as Valencia, this is why. It was cronyism at its very worst, and it's no surprise Valencia, who not so long ago were competing for La Liga titles, now find themselves in constant relegation battles under Lim's ownership. That's not even the worst part. 11 years ago, the class of 92, being the nostalgia merchants that they are, attempted to gaslight the public into thinking they were buying Salford City for the greater good of the sport. As it turns out, the takeover was financed almost exclusively by Peter Lim, and through his riches, Salford have been able to rise up the ranks while destroying the very fabric of competitive balance, which is what makes the English footballing pyramid so special in the first place. The Lim and Neville fuckery doesn't stop there either. In 2015, Neville, alongside the disgraced Ryan Giggs, opened up Hotel Football right next to Old Trafford. Confusingly, when looking into their accounts, they appear to be a dormant company with no assets, and that's because the company is owned by, you guessed it, Peter bloody Lim, who's pulling all the strings behind the scenes. The hotel quite literally makes a loss year in year out, but through the clout that owning it brings, Neville was chosen to be a part of a task force that will explore whether or not United should remain at Old Trafford, which is a gigantic responsibility for someone unfamiliar with regeneration work. As it turns out, Neville is also a massive bully. He decided to open up what's known as the St. Michael's office building bang in the middle of Manchester, and faced strong pushback from residents, but went ahead with the plans anyways, in the process forcing a police station, synagogue, and pub to be demolished. Furthermore, he's leapt into, and then backed out of, numerous plans, whether it's Benev Enterprises, which he opened up alongside former United teammate Ben Thornley in 2002, only to dissolve it in 2011, or the property described in the media as the Teletubbies house, an investment made by Neville in 2010, only to be abandoned a couple of years later for no good reason. More recently, in 2017, Neville, alongside Giggs and Beckham, opened up Mahiki, a Polynesian-style cocktail bar. They had a grand opening, but shut down within the space of a few months. Perhaps the most embarrassing of the lot, however, was Neville's deal with MasterChef competitor Michael O'Hare. Neville became a co-owner of his Michelin-starred establishment, and then went on LinkedIn to promote the place, describing it as sensational, an unbelievable experience, and also highlighting what a brilliant job the entire team had done. Roll forward a few months, and the company is now in voluntary liquidation, with Neville resigning as a director. Money laundering is quite literally the only term which comes to mind here. If there's one takeaway you should have, it's that Neville is very much a wolf in sheep's clothing. Subscribe if you liked the video, and don't if you thought it was shite. Peace.